Folks, today we're going to do a video which is based off some events on Kevin, your favourite place, wrestling Twitter. Now, the other day, Kevin, you tweeted something which got a bit of attention. It got a few eyeballs on. Kevin, do you want to explain the tweet real quick while we're here?
Alright, why don't I just read it? So I tweeted word for word, quote unquote. First Tony Khan, now Kenny Omega acting up on Twitter. Imagine if Vince McMahon and Roman Reigns carried themselves the exact same way on here. The reaction would be completely different. I'm just saying the bias is evident.
Okay.
So, essentially what I'm saying here is that the wrestling fan, the AEW fans, I should say, the people that are diehard AEW supporters till the end, they only watch AEW, they only care about AEW, those people, they don't hold AEW to the same standards that they hold WWE as. Like, this tweet really has nothing to do about Kenny Omega. I could care less about how Kenny Omega carries himself on Twitter. That's his business, his life. If he wants to tweet at people with 10 followers and no profile picture, God bless him. He can do that all day if he wants to. I could care less. But there's this bias where AEW fans, they ignore certain things about AEW. Because we all know that if the shoe were on the same foot for WWE, these people would be sending death threats at Roman Reigns, wishing harm upon his children. Same thing with Vince McMahon. And whether I'm right or wrong, I think that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, and Kevin, this is the thing, right? Like, because you can only get so many characters in with a tweet, you tweeting that all of a sudden gets blown completely off the rails. You've got, like, I saw for literally a day and a half, people doing the quote tweets, and Bonafide Heat in the mud, Bonafide Heat's a clown, worst take ever machine, Bonafide Heat. Can Bonafide Heat say anything that's actually, like, right, these people are saying? I saw people, quote, like, literally, like, screenshotting the tweet, posting it, and just saying, L, Bonafide Heat in the mud, like, this type of thing. And it's like, come on. Really? Kevin, in your perspective, when you tweet that with the intentions you have, and you see the reaction, which is as over the top as it is, walk us through how it makes you feel, pal.
It makes me really, like, question why I'm even on wrestling Twitter. Like, well, what am I doing on this platform? That's really, like, the number one thought that goes through my head. Like, I really thought about taking a break from Twitter and just not tweeting for, like, a few days, maybe a week or something. But at the end of the day, Twitter is a good way for promotion, for my brand, for my channel, for our brand, for Elite Heat. People recognize us. We're recognizable figures in the IWC. We're not blowing smoke here. I'm not saying that we're, like, big or important or anything like that, but there are certain people that recognize myself, and so I feel that's really, like, I guess what would keep me going. But at the end of the day, it's clearly, like, these people are just, I don't want to say they're not normal, but there's just something not there. There's a screw missing. There's something there that's imbalanced,
Yeah, I guess.
You're spending all day watching wrestling. Like, it's not a great way to live your life, in my opinion.
Yep, starved for attention, desperate for dopamine, all that type of stuff. Any chance to jump on, pile on, quote tweet something, which is like, but, like, I mean, your tweet wasn't even, like, that bad compared to some stuff. Personally, I know you've seen on Twitter. I've seen literally a picture, and most of you will know what I'm talking about, where you've got Goldberg and Bobby Lashley impersonating the George Floyd thing. I've seen that type of stuff, where it's like, this is just get this off the internet type stuff. And you see that get the reaction. Like, that stuff like that deserves like an outrage culture freak out reaction. You tweeting about if Vince McMahon quote tweeted and responded to a 10 follower account on Twitter the same way Kenny Omega does, you tweeting that, saying that there's, like, a bit of a bias there, getting 1.2k likes, about what was it, like 400 quote tweets, how many, like, tens of thousands of impressions, profile visits over that, like, what?
And so many people blocked me too. I probably got blocked by, like, 100 people.
Oh god, yeah.
Just for that. And like, people, they take it as, like, slander, and the way I look at it, honestly, the way I look at this is, when something like this occurs, it shows me that a certain part of me was correct. that at least part of what I'm saying is correct. Because if it wasn't correct, people wouldn't get so mad. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like you're pushing on a sore spot. Because I think people that watch AEW, they know that there's a bias, and they know that what I'm saying is partially correct. But I'm not saying that my word is truth or like people have to follow me, anything like that. I think there's partially what I'm saying may have been correct, and it's resonating in some of these people's minds, and that's why there's such a negative reaction. Maybe I'm completely off base. I don't know.
Yeah, and then I don't want to generalize too much. I mean, this is a general thing with Twitter, wrestling Twitter, whatever community you have, or as far as like the reaction, that's something which doesn't even really warrant it can get. Like, it's, I mean, obviously, my big example that I get associated with is when I said Daniel Bryan, because of his health, should retire from wrestling. That was my big one, which I still hear about to this day. I still have people going, oh my god, remember when like the whole of Twitter hated you for 3 days? I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I remember where I was, what happened that day. I'll never forget that day. It was a vivid experience. I had like generally a cold as is, so I was like sick. And then I checked my Twitter, and I've got literally like 30 DMs from people I talk to being like, OMG, this reaction. You've got quote tweets out the wazoo. I go on wrestling Instagram like for the first time in like ages, and I scroll through and I see random people just like screen capping my thing, like laughing at me and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god, like this reaction over a point that was genuinely pretty valid. You know, like it's just this stuff, Kevin. It's just reactions to things which shouldn't cause reactions that are as dramatic. Like, I mean, Kevin, I read your tweet. I like when it had about, you know, it was posted like an hour ago, right? And you had maybe like 60 likes. I'm like, I didn't think much of it. I'm like, it's a fine point, is what it is. And then I checked back in 5 hours and it's got 500 likes and like 140 quote tweets. I'm like, oh, okay, nice. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, and what happened? I'll walk you through a little bit of what went through my mind when tweeting this. So I was at work. I get on Twitter. I step off for a little bit, for a little break, and I get on Twitter just to see what's going on, to tap in, if you will. And I see people freaking out about Kenny Omega, like just in general. And I'm like, okay, why is Kenny Omega trending? What happened? Did he say he wants a dream match with AJ Styles or something? And then I see Kenny Omega's interacting with people and accusing them of things, and he's being accused of things. And literally the only thing, like, it was like a 2-minute process. I'm reading this on Twitter. I think in my head, okay, if Vince McMahon and Roman Reigns carried themselves the way Tony Khan and Kenny Omega did, the reaction would be 100% different. It'd be a complete 180. So I thought it, I tweeted it, and I went back and I went about my day. I didn't even check Twitter for like an hour after I tweeted, or even longer. And I didn't, like, it just never really resonated with me. I was like, okay, cool, people are mad. And then I saw that was a meme, which was great. I guess I made it, pal. I don't know, but
what's that like when you have someone who would have spent probably 5 minutes of their day making a meme, Bonafide heat, you know, consciously crafting the worst effing take ever over and over, and it's like it's just like
yeah, it was kind of surreal. It was kind of surreal to see that I was a meme. Like, I didn't get offended. I didn't care. Honestly, like, I don't know this person. The person that made the meme blocked me, so they're a pussy as it is. I don't know if I can say that, but they're a pussy anyway because they blocked me and then they're making memes about me behind my back. So whatever, it is what it is there. But like, it was surreal. It's like somebody actually went out of their way. They took time out of their day to make a meme about me. How cool is that?
That's insane. That's just like
it's great. Like, it's great, and if I'm known for something, I might as well just run with it. Just be the bad take guy, whatever. I don't care. Like, it's a bad take to some people. It's a great take to some people. Other people read it and they're like, oh, that's a tweet. So it resonates with people differently anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. And just I saw the reaction and like, because it's on these things, right, where like when you're the one who logs into Twitter after like 5 hours of not logging on, and you look at your mentions and you go, oh my god. And, like, you have that kind of first thing of, oh, okay, people hate me now, I guess. Sure, nice. We move. Okay.
I read that stuff, man. I don't even read the mentions. I didn't read the quote tweets. I didn't read the replies. I didn't read any of the tweets. The only reason I saw the meme was because somebody tagged me in the meme. I would not have seen it if nobody tagged me in it.
Bruh.
You know, other people talking about me have me blocked anyway, so I can't see it either way.
Bruh, can I just say, like, because I like, logged in, and I was, like, looking at that type of stuff, because obviously, yeah, as you say there, like, you hardly look at it. Well, I'm looking at this as, like, the Elite Heat co-host here, I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, this is ridiculous. Like, because people are just like obviously, as you say, you kind of like you like drop a little nuke and then just kind of leave casually, and then these people are just spending like what feels like half their day freaking out about some tweet you just like in the break room at work put together. You're casually sitting there at your job just going through the motions for the next couple of hours. These people are having like panic attacks on Twitter, adding all their AEW Kenny Omega stan friends, trying to get as much pile on hate on you as possible, and you just don't care. It's hilarious. Like it's just like.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's just when you phrase it like that, where you're casually at work making however much an hour, just kind of sitting there talking to some co-workers, dealing with some stuff, what have you. You leave, okay, is what it is. Meanwhile, Twitter and the Bonafide Heat account is it's a circus, it's a mess. You've got these like accounts who are always on Twitter posting like 50 tweets a day about AEW and just generally with wrestling generally, freaking out over something you've said, screen capping you saying, worst take of 2022, Bonafide Heat in the mud, Bo Mickey beat, Kevin down bad, worst take machine, someone making memes over this. It's like...
I could care less. Like when I did after work, I go over to my fiance's house and have family dinner with them, and I'm not even checking my phone. Like I don't care. I don't care at all. I check my phone like maybe once or twice, and I was like, oh, look at that! I got like 100 notifications. Nice. Put it back. I didn't even read any of it.
As you've got these people being like, oh, Bonafide Hate's an effing clown. I'm like, okay. That's good. That's good to know. Thank you for your insight and deep contribution to this world. Thank you so much. Bless you. I love you. It's just like,
yeah. Like people are shocked. People are shocked by this stuff. I mean, I don't hide who I am at all. I tweet whatever the hell I want, and if you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. And as long as people are reacting, that's really all I care about, honestly.
Well, like you can see. I mean, I'm obviously not going to name names, but there's you know the people who, when you read their tweets, you most of the time don't believe it's authentic and just think it's just like baiting. In a lot of cases, like I mean, we know those people. Not to name, we're not naming names, but like you can kind of tell the people who know what will get likes and just tweet for likes. You can tell those people that the ones who aren't authentic. They'll have the block list with like 400 people on it. Those type of people. It's like. That's how you want to operate. Fair play. Your life. Do your thing. If you want to spend 5 hours a day on Twitter freaking out over every little thing, amazing for you. Fantastic. Good luck with that. But it's just like, you look at it from your perspective as you're at your fiance's house having dinner. Meanwhile, you've got these like a bunch of 16-year-olds on Twitter spending their whole evening like freaking out of what you sent and like shaking in group chats. It's like, no doubt, Kevin, the tweet you did, which wasn't even like that horrendous, there's definitely like there's several group chats with like 20 AEW and Kenny Omega stands saying, "Oh, F this guy, he's so down bad. This guy's in the mud. Bonafide Heat, who listens to him?" They're probably pulling out screen caps of your YouTube channel. Oh, look how few views he gets. My favorite YouTuber, Tranquility Club, gets so many more views. Like this type of thing, It's just it's weird.
Yeah, and to me, I'm just like, all right, carry on. Like, I just move on with my day. Twitter is such a small part of my day.
Yeah.
I spend maybe like 20, 30 minutes on Twitter. Twitter is if you let it get to you, if you read the comments and you focus and you stay on Twitter for hours a day, it's very infectious.
Yes.
It's an easy way to lose track with reality. Like that was something that I think you and I both struggled with recently.
Yep.
It's like, you lose track of what's real in life. When you start focusing on Twitter, you're in like group chats and you're messaging people constantly and you're reading like threads and you're interacting with people. And then it can kind of skew the way you act in social instances, So I think just wrestling Twitter in general, it's has some positives. Like the freedom of speech is nice. The fact that you can post literally whatever you want on there is nice, except for unless your name is Donald Trump, you can't post whatever you want.
Yeah.
But there's some good things about it, but there's a lot of negatives about Twitter. There's a lot. I mean, we'd be here for like 3 hours if we were doing a podcast strictly on the negatives of Twitter. We'd have a lot of content, a long log of topics to go through. So we're not going to do that. But still, I'll ask you this question kind of like to gear this conversation in a different direction. Take it off of me, pal. Take the heat off of me, if you will, pal.
Yep.
Do you think that Twitter, like in the long form, how important do you think Twitter is in society? Because like what I've garnered just from real life interactions with people, hardly anybody that I've met in person
Uses
really
Twitter.
has a Twitter.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
yeah, go on.
but they all know what it is. People know what Twitter is. But a lot of people ask them, why don't you use Twitter? It's like, it's lame. There's nothing really there for me. So, at the end of the day, I mean, Twitter, I don't know. Go ahead, answer the question.
To me, it's a social networking app, obviously, but like it's a networking app that's designed to where you hear and can expose the opinions of everyone. Which, in a lot of ways, I mean, the opinions of everyone is like you see a lot, and it can, as you say, it skews your perspective of reality. If you spend like even a bit too much time on there, let alone like 10 plus hours a day on your phone, like most of the people who live on there do, it totally skews your perspective of just the world in general. Like in reality, if you go and talk to 15 like females, none of them use Twitter. You know, it doesn't matter to these people. It's like most normal people don't use the app much at all. Like if as far as social media, I mean, TikTok's your main one at the moment. That's the most trending one, and then obviously Instagram for pictures, and then people use like Messenger for chats, and they use like Snapchat. You know, like the Twitter's just this thing. Everyone knows Twitter. Generally, people have this reputation. Twitter, I don't use that. I mean, you know, like it's one of these things, and especially Kevin, with how much it skews you two ways. One, your perspective of reality, hearing everyone's opinion, how toxic and intense people can come off. Granted, a lot of the time, and sometimes people don't mean to come off the way they do on Twitter, but you get like it's like a sentence or two sentences long, the tweets. So like most of the time it comes off, you know, probably worse than it was intended, you know. And then the other thing is just the dopamine side of things, is getting likes, getting retweets, so like all the different metrics on Twitter. So yeah, if I forgot what your question was, but I think I answered it, pal. There you go.
Yeah, I was just asking, like, do you think Twitter is important for wrestling in general? Like, do you think, like, realistically, do you think WWE, like, really looks at what people say on Twitter?
Oh, hell no.
Programming based on that?
You think Nick Khan bases what he does off of some geeks who spend 10 hours a day on wrestling Twitter? Like, no. Nick Khan bases his opinions off what a bunch of suits in a boardroom think will make WWE the most money. He doesn't give a stuff what iBase says on Twitter about the company, or what the ace of wrestling says, or, what, Wizard of Wrestling says about the company on Twitter. Like Nick Khan couldn't care less. And it's kind of clear that generally with WWE, they orient what they do around them, the publicly traded company side of things, and business. Whereas AEW, with Tony Khan responding publicly to wrestlers, with Kenny Omega publicly reacting and responding and calling a father of a daughter, I'm not going to say the word, like that type of thing. It's like, it shows the differences, which is exactly, this lays right back to exactly what you tweeted about the differences between the companies, and that there's like a bit of a bias there. And because of you stating that, which is a fairly objective statement, you had to be dragged through the mud for 2 days, and now you're known as like the bad takes guy on Twitter because you said that,
Right, because I said one thing, exactly. And I think I'll say this too, because you bring up Nick Khan, which is a fascinating point, which is a good direction. I wanted to take this in.
Yeah.
You say Nick Khan doesn't care, but there's all these rumors out there about Stephanie McMahon and Triple H having burners, and I think you could tell based on the NXT product that Triple H was listening to wrestling Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Triple H and Stephanie were heavily influencing Vince McMahon's decisions based on what they saw on Twitter, like at the height of Twitter in 2013, 14, 15, 16. Because you would see, like, you see people on Twitter saying, oh, Triple H is in charge, Triple H is this, Triple H is booking Raw. And then, sure enough, the Authority is born. And it's like Triple H's way to poke fun at people. Triple H literally mentioning Twitter on promos on Raw. I think as Triple H and Stephanie, seemingly, they're losing more and more power. And it seems like Nick Khan and Bruce Pritchard are like in Triple H and Stephanie's place now as the most powerful people in WWE at the boardroom, behind the scenes. I think we're going to see WWE, not necessarily go back to its roots, but we're going to see WWE go in a different direction where they're just letting Twitter be that loud noise It's just like a loud, small percentage of people that are screaming and rioting over every little thing
Yeah.
that are really never happy anyway. They're letting those people just kind of be. And yeah, maybe once in a while they'll throw those people a bone. Like you'll see, I don't know, we'll see like a main event of a pay-per-view be like Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. We'll see like a random throwaway pay-per-view. That'll be like a main event. Where those two guys have a great work rate match. If Seth Rollins were to win the championship or Royal Rumble, we'll see something like that.
Yeah.
Which I hope doesn't happen, by the way. But going forward, I think in general, Twitter is going to lose its priority within WWE, and I wonder how that will affect Twitter in general, especially like wrestling Twitter, I should say in general. Maybe people will see that and they're like, whatever, I'll just stop watching WWE, and more of those people will start watching New Japan or watching AEW once they realize that they really can't influence WWE the same way that they could maybe 6-7 years ago.
That's a good point. Yeah, that really is. Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, you're in New Japan. Like, I mean, Wrestle Kingdom happened like last week, and the interaction rate for that was completely dead. Like, there were hardly anybody was talking about it, and even compared to 2 years ago, people were talking about it then. Now no one cares. And like, I look at WWE, how they operate things. I think the best example is what they've done with NXT, just generally. You could kind of see that really transition happen last year, particularly when it comes to the Triple H, Shawn Michaels. They're clearly listening to everything that's being said on Twitter. What feuds do these sub-niche communities want to see? That type of thing. Listening to that and giving them that on TV. Once that audience started dwindling and it hits like 500,000 viewers early last year with Finn Balor as champion, WWE, the higher up brass go, Paul Levesque, like this ain't it. Like, what are you doing? And then they go, okay, look, we have these great athletes in the Performance Center. We got a Steiner in the house. We got this, Carmelo Hayes guy. We got Grayson Waller. We got, like Tony D'Angelo. We got all these, great female talents. We got, like the Creed brothers. We got all this happening. Paul, just piss off with your direction. This is leading to nothing. Let's do 2.0. Let's do something fresh. Let's not focus and spend our day dwelling on what ratings number they get. We'll let the sub-communities have freakouts on Twitter about that. Leave them, Paul. Triple H, forget that. Let's focus on what we do, and let's make the future of WWE, bright, fresh, exciting. Like, Kevin, as far as like the future of WWE, I look at what they've got as far as characters and stars, NXT 2.0 right now, knowing that Vince McMahon and the brass of the company are genuinely invested in the people they've got there, and I go, it looks like WWE have some form of a vision for the way forward for once. 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, you couldn't really have said that, because I don't think a 40-year-old Fergal Devitt and a 38-year-old Tommaso Ciampa are the future of the company. But now they've got guys who are the future, and as Kevin, that comes from Nick Khan and these guys not listening to the tiny niche on wrestling Twitter, so you'll have to see it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, pal. I guess we can close this conversation there. Anything else you want to add?
No, not really. It's just generally the whole kind of point of this conversation. Really, just your kind of, I guess, your perspective on the chaos that was wrestling Twitter. Mainly like 2-3 days ago. I forget when this happened. Days blend together now, but yeah, just honestly a mess. And you'll have to see it, pal. Any closing words from you?
No, that's all I got. So yeah, thank you guys all for listening to this edition of Elite Heat, pal.
Easy. Yeah, I think I'll probably end up dropping this now, so you guys get a double Elite Heat upload today, which is who would have thought this 3 months ago, pal? But yeah, you're all good. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and it's been Elite Heat. Jay Uso loves DU. Oh no, Jimmy Uso loves DUIs, Michael. We're out of here.